Hi, it's Michael Haig. Now here's a Hollywood storytelling trick that you're going to love because it's simple and fun. And if you add this to a story, it's going to exponentially increase the emotional involvement of your readers or your audiences. And that is, give the hero of your story a ticking clock. In other words, whatever goal your hero is pursuing in the story, give them a time limit during which they have to accomplish that goal. And if they fail, the consequences are going to be dire. Now, ever since James Bond had to defuse the bomb in Goldfinger, which is now about 60 years ago, I know because I saw the first run, then there must have been 100 more movies that have used the ticking time bomb clock to build suspense, anticipation, and conflict. And you can do that even if you're in your business stories, because whatever the goal is, just give a time limit to accomplish it. In fact, last week I was coaching a client and we were crafting a story that he wanted to tell about how he gave up a job he hated, even though it was very high paying, to go into the enterprise he's now very successful at. And he said when he wanted to change, and he told his wife, she was very uncertain because they needed money and they were about to have their first child and so on. So he said to her, okay, I'll keep this job I'm in now that I don't like for 18 months, but if I can make more at the new enterprise than I do in that job, then I get to quit that job and we'll do this other thing. And she agreed. And so I said to him, that's great, that'll add a deadline for you to do it. But I said to him, how much money did you make in 18 months at the old job? And he said $250,000. I thought, okay, that's a good high amount. And I said, well, for the sake of the story, at the end of that 18 months, how much had you made in your new enterprise? And he said about 600,000. And I thought, now that's going to be a great story. But the key was it became much more difficult, much more important, and much more rewarding by knowing what the time limit was. And then he had to meet that. And when he did, he exceeded what he had to do in that amount of time. So try that even in your business stories, and you will get a greater response from your audiences.